I just caught my male 29 fiance female 31 in bed with my father male 54. This is by far the most strange experience I've ever had. This occurred around 2 days ago, and I still feel as if I'm in a nightmare. I apologize in advance for the length. I hadn't told anybody about it, and all I wanted was an outlet. So, my fiance and I have been dating for 6 years, and I proposed to her in January of last year. We were going to marry in June, but then the epidemic struck. Although I didn't mind having a modest, private wedding, she insisted on waiting since she wanted the wedding of her dreams. We had intended to marry later this year, but I think those plans have come to a stop. She began behaving strangely around 4 months ago. She grew distant, was less loving than normal, and started to behave suspiciously, such as arriving home late at night, being protective of her phone, and lying about her whereabouts. I didn't suspect her of cheating and instead chalked it up to cold feet. I'd fakey. Asked her if she was having second thoughts about marrying me, and she told me that she was simply overworked. This made sense to me since she had just received a promotion. She also became quite close to my father about the same period. Of course, I didn't think anything of it. Who would be worried about his father and fiancé forming a close relationship? My father and mother are divorced as a result of his adultery. My father is very rich and a narcissist. This became clearer to me now than it had been before. My wife and I were meant to spend Christmas with my mother's side of the family, as well as my brother and sister. She made up an excuse about wanting to spend that time with some of her relatives and needing to get some work done anyhow. She demanded that I travel on my own and that we spend New Year's Eve together. I accepted since I hadn't seen my mother in a long time. Coincidentally, my father was leaving town around the same time. I only learned this when contemplating, and decided that they probably spent that time together. My siblings and I spent Christmas and New Year's with one of our parents and the other with the other. Every year, we switched between the two. My mom and dad couldn't bear the sight of one other, as you can probably tell from the fact that we've never spent such holidays together. Neither side of the family gets along, and it's been difficult to strike a balance and not take sides. As I previously said, I had no reason to suspect her of cheating on me until she began getting calls from a number kept under her best friend's name. Karen too was stored as a backup, fake name. This made little sense to me since she was getting these calls when we were out to dinner with Karen and her husband. Karen was right in front of me, and she wasn't on her phone. When I glanced at the phone, and then at my wife, she gave me the most "oh-I-up" expression I've ever seen. I didn't say anything while we were there, but I did question her about it on the way home. Her justification was that it was another Karen from work. I requested to view her phone, but she refused. She complained that I'd be violating her privacy, and that she didn't like being accused of something so heinous. I mentioned how she'd been behaving suspiciously lately, and how her refusal to show me her phone was only pointing to her doing something dirty. She maintained she wasn't, and that the talks and the text messages were private. After much deliberation, I decided to let it go. Fast forward to the present, and her conduct hasn't changed much. It just became worse as she continued to deny anything was going on. I was supposed to go on a business trip for a week on Monday. Fortunately, my flight was canceled owing to snowstorms, and my vacation was postponed. When I went home, I saw my father's vehicle parked outside. It's my father. He's surely only passing through, right? When I get inside, I don't see him or his fiancé. I yell out, "Where? Arathy?" And I hear rushing upstairs in my bedroom. My fiancé is agitated as I go towards my bedroom, begging that I wait for her below. When I ask her where my father is, she claims she has no idea. However, his automobile is parked outside. He has to be here. When I go to the bedroom door, it's locked. When I ask her to open it, she replies she's getting ready. The concept of them together hadn't even occurred to me throughout this whole period. When I beg her to open the door, she tells I should wait below. I could now hear many footsteps from within, and that's when it clicked to me what was going on. In a hurry, I kicked the door down, and I wish I hadn't seen what I did. My father was in my room, fumbling to put on his trousers, while my fiancée was just wearing her panties. I was utterly taken by surprise. What I was seeing astounded me. My fiancé burst out laughing and said something along the lines of "It's not what it seems to be. I can explain." The overused phrase "I" was looking at my father the whole time, watching him get ready. At one point, I wondered whether I should simply beat the crap out of him right then and there. But I couldn't do it. I didn't have the stamina. I was completely defeated. I just got back into my vehicle with the bag I intended to take on my work trip and drove away. My fiancé attempted to stop me and even attempted to jump into my vehicle as I drove away. I got into a motel and have been staying here ever since. Calls and messages from both of them, as well as other relatives and friends, have deluged me. I haven't talked to anybody, and I haven't returned any of their phone calls. This is quite painful. I'm not sure what I'm expected to do. Why would they do such a thing to me? Why would he choose my fiancé out of all people? I've spent the last 2 days weeping and drinking, and I have no idea what I'm meant to do. Has anybody else gone through anything similar, and if so, how did you find the fortitude to keep going? I could go on, but that would be a rant. How am I expected to deal with such betrayal? I need assistance. Anything. Story 2. This girl I've been seeing just played a prank on me saying she may be pregnant. What should I do? So, I've 26M, been seeing this lady, 24F, for about 6 months and things have been going well. Now, whenever we have, I am obsessive about using a condom, which she has inquired about since she has an IUD, and none of our particular friends use condoms. I tell her that I don't want to have children because not only am I not ready, but we are also not in a position to start a family. Monday arrives, and she texts me, "Do you want to have a baby?" Which clearly I don't, given that we just discussed the subject. I worry a bit and ask her if she's pregnant, to which she says, "I may be," and I begin to fear. I phone her, but she doesn't answer, which makes me even more worried. She phones me back a few minutes later, claiming she is with our common friend, who I hear hysterically laughing in the background, and that it was all a joke and that she is not pregnant. I'm so angry at that moment that I don't even say anything and simply hang up. So where do I go from here? #1 In my perspective, a pregnant joke is never a joke. #2 We just spoke about how serious I am about this matter. #3 That buddy she was with is aware that I had a woman in the past pull a similar prank on me by truly stating she was pregnant, and she is aware of how I responded and how I instantly quit communicating to that lady. She was way less serious of a relationship though. I'm really contemplating terminating the relationship since I'm worried about a disaster and her wanting to get pregnant. Should I simply call it quits right now? Should I simply dismiss it as a joke and move on? I'm desperate for some guidance here. Thank you very much. Story 3. Husband forced me. My spouse, 37, and I, 32, have been married for 5 years. He's a pretty kind man. I used to call him my happiness machine because he always puts me first and takes good care of me. I try not to say no when he asks for things since he is a bit sensitive. When I said no, he never pressured me to do anything. We have our nasty disagreements, and he sometimes gives the silent treatment. He may be a bit controlling, like when it comes to language and stuff. He wants me to succeed and has great expectations of me. He's a bit arrogant and believes he's always right, and he doesn't always listen to anybody but me. He also punishes individuals when they do wrong. But then, when we were arguing, he pushed me, and even though I told him I was in agony, he didn't care. He persisted in raping me severely. I am astounded and terrified that he, of all people, could do such a thing. I'm going to leave him. But I'm perplexed as to how such a nice person could do such a thing. I can't accept or comprehend it. It's strange to be afraid of someone I care about,